Imagine stepping into a chilly gym in Holyoke, Massachusetts, way back in 1895. The floor creaks under your feet, and there's a faint echo of excitement in the air. A small group of men stands around a net that's hanging about 6.5 feet high, just tall enough to make things interesting. They're not sure what to expect. At the front of the room is William G. Morgan, the local YMCA physical director, gearing up to introduce a brand new activity he calls Mintonette. No one quite knows what that means, but they're curious. There's no dribbling, no running up and down a basketball court, and definitely no tackling. Morgan just wants a game that's a bit easier on the body, yet still gives everyone a solid workout. Little does he know he's about to launch one of the most popular sports on the planet, the one we now call volleyball. Morgan's original vision is simple: keep the ball moving back and forth over the net, with minimal contact between players. It's nothing like the high-intensity basketball craze that's sweeping across the country at the time. He sees folks who love staying active, but don't want the physical collision and non-stop hustle of James Naismith's new sport. So, Mintonette offers an alternative. You can still be competitive, but you can also focus on teamwork and skill rather than brute strength. That first day in the gym, people are intrigued. They're using a basketball bladder, or the lightweight inside part of the ball, to get the hang of things. It feels strange at first, but surprisingly fun. Even though the game is just an experiment, there's already a spark. The ball is flying back and forth, and you can sense the possibility of something bigger. At one point, someone in the crowd blurts out something like, "Looks like you're volleying that ball," and that offhand comment flips a switch. Mintonette might be clever, but volleyball just sounds right. From that moment on, the name sticks. What's interesting about William G. Morgan is that he's not trying to become famous. He's a quiet, practical guy who simply wants to fill a gap he's noticed. Lots of people respect basketball's appeal, but not everyone wants to, or can, run and leap like that. In creating this new game, Morgan aims to bring in older players, less athletic folks, or anyone looking for a gentler form of exercise. He's solving a local problem, never dreaming his solution will circle the globe. Yet volleyball starts spreading almost by accident. It's easy to teach, easy to set up, and it's instantly enjoyable. Other YMCA centers hear about it, and soon instructors are introducing it to their local communities. Soldiers in the military pick it up as a way to stay active when stationed far from home. Then missionaries and teachers carry volleyball on ships across oceans, bringing it to Asia, Europe, and beyond. Before anyone really plans it, volleyball is crossing borders and finding fans wherever it lands. At first, the rules are all over the place. Sometimes you've got just a few players on each side. Other times, it seems like half the town is on the court. Serves can be underhand, overhand, or whatever you can dream up. It's all part of this experimental phase. But once enough people fall in love with the game, they start craving consistency. Over time, the net height settles into a standard range. A proper volleyball is designed instead of using that old basketball bladder, and guidelines emerge about how many times a team can hit the ball before sending it back over the net. Bit by bit, the framework of modern volleyball takes shape. Of course, with more structure comes more serious competition. By the early 1900s, colleges and sports clubs are forming teams and playing in organized matches. Newspapers begin covering these events, and spectators show up to watch. There's a newfound energy in the way people pass, set, and spike the ball, with formations and strategies that hadn't existed just a few years earlier. It's not just a recreational pastime anymore. It's turning into a thrill ride for both players and fans. Armed forces play a huge role in taking volleyball to new heights. During World War I, American troops bring the game with them when they're stationed in different parts of the world. It becomes an easy and uplifting way to pass the time, something that helps them stay in shape and bond with their comrades. Other soldiers from different nations catch on. By the war's end, volleyball has traveled across Europe and beyond, carried by the very people who needed a break from the stress of battle. A few decades later, in World War II, the pattern repeats, and the sport's international presence grows even stronger. Still, for a while, volleyball remains a well-loved sport without a grand global stage. That changes when it's welcomed into the Olympics. In 1964 at the Tokyo Games, the world sees just how competitive and exciting volleyball can be. By then, the International Volleyball Federation has come together to unify rules, organize world championships, and give the sport a real sense of identity. Suddenly, countries like the Soviet Union and Japan are battling it out, displaying razor-sharp skills and mesmerizing teamwork. Millions of viewers discover volleyball as more than a casual game. It's a show of athleticism, strategy, and pure adrenaline. But even this Olympic appearance doesn't tell the full story, because volleyball soon finds a second life on the beach. In California, folks have already been playing on sand courts as early as the 1930s. It starts out as a laid-back summer activity, sometimes with just 2 people per side, and it quickly gathers a devoted following. By the 1990s, beach volleyball becomes a cultural phenomenon with its own pro tours, major sponsorships, and a party-like atmosphere that's part sport, part beach bash. In 1996, it steps onto the Olympic stage, adding yet another layer to volleyball's global presence. It's fascinating to think about how different these two versions of volleyball can be, indoor versus beach, and yet they come from the same root idea. Each version appeals to different audiences. Some are drawn to the spectacle of professional indoor leagues with powerful spikes and massive arenas, while others love the laid-back vibe and scenic settings of beach matches. But no matter the setting, the core experience remains the same, a fast-paced game of skill, teamwork, and perfectly timed hits. Although the sport grows bigger each year, William G. Morgan's name doesn't always come up in the conversation. People celebrate famous athletes and iconic Olympic moments, but the unassuming man who started it all tends to stay in the background. In Holyoke, however, you'll find plaques and small exhibits honoring him and the birth of his creation. His legacy quietly reminds us that sometimes great innovations begin with one person spotting a simple need. What's really powerful about volleyball is how accessible it is. You don't need a huge field, fancy gear, or a massive budget. All you need is a ball, a net, and enough space to move around. Communities around the world have embraced volleyball precisely because it's so flexible. It works in a high school gym, on a beach, or in a local park. You can play it casually with friends, as a fun family activity, or chase a professional dream if you've got the passion and skill. Over the years, the sport has faced a few bumps. Some people clashed over rule changes, like shifting from side-out scoring to rally scoring. Beach volleyball ruffled feathers at first because of its playful culture and smaller teams. Yet each time, volleyball adapted and found a way to include different styles while holding on to its essential character. Now it's hard to imagine the world without both indoor and beach volleyball, especially considering how each has brought in fresh fans and new athletes. It's also remarkable how a simple net game can break down barriers and bring people together. The social aspect of volleyball, shouting words of encouragement, diving for a last-second save, celebrating a perfectly placed serve, creates a bond among players. It's the kind of camaraderie you can feel whether you're in a neighborhood tournament or playing on a world stage. Everyone has a role to play, and winning depends on how well you work as a team. Whenever I think about the roots of volleyball, I picture walking into that old YMCA gym in Holyoke. The wooden floor, the echoes, the smell of fresh varnish, and a small crowd of curious onlookers. There's Morgan, modest and determined, guiding these men through something new and exciting. Step by step, they're testing out techniques, laughing at mistakes, and cheering for each surprisingly smooth volley. It's humble, even ordinary, but it's also the moment that sparks a phenomenon. Today, volleyball is so big that we see it everywhere. In schools, summer camps, community centers, professional arenas, and sandy beaches around the world. It's a testament to how a simple idea, born out of a practical need, can catch fire when the time is right. People from all walks of life have found joy, friendship, and fierce competition in this game that started with a borrowed net and a basketball bladder. So why does any of this matter for us now? For one thing, volleyball shows how innovation often starts quietly. Morgan wasn't aiming for global domination. He just wanted to solve a local problem. But when something is both fun and useful, it can go much further than anyone expects. Volleyball continues to evolve, bringing new strategies, advanced training methods, and modern twists like professional beach tours. It's a living sport, always adapting to the people who play it. Sure, there have been heated debates about how the game should be scored or how serious tournaments ought to be, but all of that comes with growth. If anything, those arguments mean that people care enough to fight for what they think is best. And at the core, it's still about keeping the ball in the air, challenging your reflexes, and working as a unit. Whenever you step onto a court or even watch a match on TV, you're part of this winding story that began in a modest YMCA gym in the late 19th century. You're carrying on the spirit of a man who just wanted everyone to join in and have a good time, no matter their age or physical ability. Volleyball stands as proof that a simple concept, fueled by passion and a bit of creativity, can resonate through the ages. So here's a thought. If a single gym teacher in Holyoke could come up with something so enduring, what other everyday ideas might be out there, waiting to grow into something huge? Maybe one of us is tinkering with an idea right now that, with enough care, will spark the next worldwide phenomenon. It's a reminder that big changes often begin in small places, as long as someone is willing to give them a shot. Volleyball's story isn't just about a new sport. It's about how ordinary people can stumble upon extraordinary results. The next time you see a match or lob a ball over a net, take a moment to appreciate the journey this game has taken. Think about William G. Morgan and that day in February 1895, when he introduced Mintonette to a handful of curious folks. In a world that felt overshadowed by basketball's rising star, he quietly changed history. And in doing so, he left us a game that's still bringing people together, one serve at a time. Thank you for taking this journey through history with me. If you want to dive deeper into the incredible story of volleyball, check out the links in the description and in the first pinned comment below, where you'll find more insights, recommended books, and documentaries about the sport's evolution and legendary matches. And if you'd like to support continued storytelling and exploration of our shared past, consider subscribing, liking this video, and sharing your favorite volleyball memory in the comments.